Hello, welcome to episode or lesson number 16 of Learn to Read with Bruce. I'm Bruce Dillon, and we're well on our way through these series of Caldwell lessons. I hope by now you're feeling a lot more confidence in your reading and that you continue to grow in that confidence in your reading ability. As usual, we'll start out the show with a song. This is a great old one by Jerry Jeff Walker. Kevin's going to help you follow the words up there on the board here, and with no further ado, we'll begin. It's called Mr. Bojangles. I knew a man, Bojangles, and he danced for you. In worn out shoes, with silver hair, a ragged shirt, and baggy pants. The old soft shoe. He jumped so high, then he lightly touched down. I met him in a cell in New Orleans. I was down and out. He looked at me to be the eyes of age as he spoke right out. He talked of life. He laughed, slapped his leg a step. He said his name, Bojangles, then he danced a lick across the cell. He grabbed his pants a better stance, so he jumped up high. He clicked his heels. He let go a laugh. Shook back his clothes all around. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, why don't you dance? He danced for those at minstrel shows and county fairs throughout the South. He spoke with tears of 15 years how his dog and he traveled about. His dog up and died, he up and died. After 20 years he still grieved. He said, I dance now at every chance in honky-tonks for drinks and tips, but most of the time I spend behind these county bars. He said, I drinks a bit. He shook his head, and as he shook his head, I heard someone ask, please, please, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, why don't you dance? Okay, so that's a great old song about dancing and older guys and dogs and so on and so forth. One of those bittersweet type songs. Okay. Oh, what did I put the guitar down for? We're on to the unit song right now. I forget that every week. We'll segue right into the unit song. Got it, Kevin? Mm-hmm. Able, able, ack, ale, ale, ache, ache, and, art, Asian, a, can, cent, ed, e, l, n, end, ent, est, ick, ite, ike, ike. Il, im, ing. Ip, ish, ist. O, ock. Oi, old. Or. Ound. Ow. Oi, shin. And the unit song, again to the tune of Ahi Vela by the wonderful Hawaiian singer Israel Kamakawiwo Ole. Now we'll look at our sounds and units for the new lesson, lesson 16. 15 we had Art and Ness. I think that we have Abel and Ike maybe? Yes, Abel and Ike. By the way, I remind you again, I hope you're doing your exercises before the start of the show. You're supposed to do them every day. We're not taking time on the show anymore to do them because it's starting to run a little long. Our last episode ran 50 minutes, so we'll be shortening a few things. So our units are Abel and Ike. This is lesson 16A. It has them divided now into A, B, and C. Only one new consonant sound, and it's a CH sound, which sounds like ch, like in church or chain or children. Just a ch sound, pretty easy sound to get there. We have a lot of words today, though. We have but, money, that, could, should, and would, which all rhyme. That makes it nice. You have the O-U-L-D ending there with k, sh, and w. So could, should, would. And no and not. We've had no and not and that and but. I don't think we've had money yet, but no, not, that, and but I'm sure are all instant words. You may have noticed too that I didn't put the song up here with the instant words underlined and highlighted or circled units because we're skipping that too. I've done it 15 times. I think I've made my point of the usefulness of the instant words and the Caldwell units. So, ch, Abel, Ike, but, money, that, could, should, would, no, not. Now, we can actually get a couple sounds from this Abel, but usually we say Abel like in, actually, of course, Abel's a word. And we can make a word table or stable, or we can go for fable. But often when it comes at the end of a word, like this word, which is a Caldwell word, we don't say portable, we just say portable. So it can sound like able or kind of able. So be aware of that. Ike, just usually like Ike, like Mike, like, bike.
Yike.
Yike. Thanks, Kevin.
Spike.
Yikes, huh?
Spike.
Spike. So there's some Ike words. All right, and that's our make a word activity. I usually have more towards the end of the show, but we'll just do it right there. So let's go ahead now, and I think it's time to read a story now. I can't read the entire story anymore because book 4, they're several chapters long. This is book 4, the Caldwell Reading Program Stories. If you like Ed's approach, you might want to get online. You can just Google Caldwell Reading Program. It'll take you right to his site. Book 4 and book 5 are $9 each. You have a tremendous amount of practice in both of them, and these stories have a lot more of a little plot to them rather than the earlier stories did. They're more involved. They're for lengthier reading. I'm just going to read the first chapter of story number 16 today. And if you're, like I said, if you're inclined, you can spend $9 or so and get yourself the book. So here we go with story 16. And you'll notice it does say chapter 1 here. Okay. Here's the title page, The Chicken Ranch. Now we met these chickens in story number 15. They were entertaining on the boat where Ray got his nice surprise. Notice the print's getting smaller and there's more words per page. So we really don't have time to read the whole story to you on the show now. We'll just read a part of it. So here's chapter 1, Bart's Rest. Bart Dresser, the esteemed chicken handler from Portland, and his smart singing hens have been entertaining on a world trip. They are flying back to Bart's Chicken Ranch west of Portland. Bart says to Henny Penny, his smartest performer, I feel like I have been entertaining endlessly. Standing in the ring when you chickens perform kills my feet and my throat is sore from singing. I'm sick of working. It will be dandy to rest a spell when we are back at the ranch. Mike, Bart's able ranch hand, works 3 days a week when Bart and his entertaining band of chickens are on the road performing. He works daily when they are back on the ranch. So where has Bart been and where is he going? He's been entertaining on a world trip, and they're flying back to his chicken ranch west of Portland. Is he happy to be going home? I think he is. He's looking forward to a little bit of rest. It'll be dandy to rest a spell when we're back at the ranch. So here's the picture. Bart's talking to the guy in the wheelchair. I think that's his helper, Mike, there. Bart rested for a week. One day, Bart walked to the main road to meet Mike. Bart, says Mike, it's plain to see you have enjoyed this rest from entertaining. Are the feet still paining? My feet are not paining and my throat is not sore anymore. I have certainly cherished this week of rest, says Bart. My throat and feet have mended, but I'm still sick of working. I plan to sell my chicken ranch and take a permanent rest. I could rest and work on my oil paintings. And the best thing, I could spend weeks and weeks sailing and fishing with Ray. Why do you think Mike's in a wheelchair? Well, they don't really tell us, do they? Must have gotten hurt somehow. Did the rest help Bart's aches and pains? It sounds like it did. And why does Bart want to sell the ranch? He says he wants to take a permanent rest. He wants to work on his oil paintings. Here they are, continuing their conversation. Looks like it's got Mike upset. A permanent rest? Sell the ranch, yells Mike. Then can't I work on the ranch anymore? You need not worry, Mike. I plan to sell my ranch to a man who likes chickens and train him to be a rancher and a chicken handler. You are an able rancher, Mike. You should be able to stay on and work for him. Or would you like to have my ranch? Says Bart. Now Mike's getting kind of excited. Boy, yelled Mike, feeling cheered. Would I like to be a chicken rancher and train chickens to be entertainers? Boy, would I? I would like to have this ranch, but I would need a partner. Who could be my partner? I worked with a swell ranch hand north of Portland on a steer ranch. We could meet at Norm's Bakery and talk. I'll see. Why was Mike upset that Bart wanted to sell his ranch? Well, he's worried about his job, wasn't he? Why would Mike need a partner? Well, there may be things he can't do since he's confined to a wheelchair. This way to Norm's Bakery, best cakes in town. There's the noise of the wheelchair there. In the morning, Mike wheeled to Norm's Bakery to talk with his former working partner. Bart is selling his chicken ranch. Would you like to be my partner on his ranch? Mike says shyly. There's a new word for us. I have seen Bart's ranch, and it's a sorry mess. Would it be worth the money and the work it would take? Said Mike's former partner. Now, notice we're not seeing Mike's former partner, are we? They're hiding behind sacks of flour there. Frankly, Bart has not been maintaining the ranch like he should, says Mike, but he has been performing on a world trip. Bart said I could have the training I need to perform with the entertaining chickens. Then we could make the money we would need for the ranch. I feel it would be worth the work and the money, and I would like to try it. Will you be my partner? I enjoyed working with you on the steer ranch, Mike. I will try it, answers his partner. We can talk more on the way to Bart's ranch. Why is Bart's ranch run down? I guess he kind of let it go while he was off performing, didn't he? What do you think Mike's partner looks like? Well, I don't want to keep you in total suspense, but here's the next chapter, and there's a picture of Mike's partner. Her name is Blanche. But that's going to be it for the reading today, because we're not going to go over 2 hours for the show, I don't think. And that brings us up to practice number 16, right, Kevin? Yeah. Oh, I took your pointer there. Okay, so our units were Able and Ike, and our sound was ch. So let's use those for today. Go ahead.
Spell cable.
Cable, like the cable company, where you can see on Jerry's Channel 3, that new show, Learn to Read with Bruce, right?
Change a letter to spell table.
Table. I think I already did that one over on the other board, didn't I? T.
Drop a letter, add a unit to spell enable.
Enable. There we go. So we have two units making a word here. Our N unit, you might recall, is two letters, N, E-N, and then there's our able unit. So there's a word made of nothing but Caldwell units. Cool.
Spell like.
Like. Ike with an O at the front. Like.
Change a letter to spell hike.
Hike. Huh. That's the H sound.
Change one letter to spell a boy's name, Mike.
Mike. And we have to make a capital M. Mike.
Spell chain.
Chain. So there's our ch. And I want the ain unit, which we haven't thought of for a while. A-I-N is ain.
Spell chart.
Chart. We just had the art unit in the last lesson. And there's our ch again. And there's our art unit, A-R-T, art.
Spell likable.
Likeable. And this word can actually be spelled two ways. I'm going to give you both. I'm going to spell like and then add able. It can also be spelled without the E. All right, so you might see it either way. It's the same word, likable, meaning having the quality of being liked or worth being liked.
Spell and put in alphabetical order would, could, should.
Would, could, and should. There's the O-U-L-D endings. C comes first. S comes before W. And there they are. Look like wold, cold, and should, but the L doesn't sound. Again, that irregularity of our language.
Write the letter of the last sound in any.
Any. And we had this just in the last lesson. That letter that sounds like an E at the end of a word is actually a Y. And if you put an E, you are still listening.
Write the letter of the last sound in clock.
Clock.
Write the letter of the first sound in yellow.
Yellow. Yeah. There's our Y at the beginning.
Write the letter of the first sound in western.
W. W sound.
Write the letter of the third sound in artistic.
Third sound. Artistic. Art. Art. Well, that's our unit. A-er-t. Art. Artistic.
Write a word that rhymes with strike first alphabetically.
Strike. Here's our three Ike words right here. L is after H, and L is before M, so H comes first. We want hike.
Write a word that rhymes with stable first alphabetically.
Okay, well here's our able words, cable, table, enable. C is before T or E, so we're going to go with cable.
Write a word that rhymes with smart.
Smart. Well, these are able and Ike or chain. Chart. There we go, right there. Chart rhymes with smart, same ending sound.
Write the letter that makes no sound in strike.
Strike. Strike. Has that silent letter at the end, like the Ike words. We don't say likey, hikey, mikey, we say like. So the E does not sound in strike.
Write a three-syllable word from lesson 16.
3 syllables. Cable, table, enable. There's one right there. Enable. Enable, 3 sounds to it. Reading tip number 16. When decoding a large word, I'll let Jerry zoom in here first. When decoding a large word, look for familiar smaller words within the word. And use your knowledge of the units too. So, I got a couple examples here I wrote down. Here's a nice one. Okay. Wow. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 letters. All right. Right away, I can see an unit in there. And also, here's the word ant. And there's our ch, so there's chant. And here's an n and an ent. So here we go. Enchantment is that word. So, you know, we had the word an or ant in it, or men. But we don't want to separate out the unit here. We want to think of it as ent. So we'll keep that the way it was. Here's another one. Well, right in the middle we got oi, and then we have joy, the word joy, and then enjoy, and here's our able, so enjoyable. So that's just one way when you get a really big word to try to pick out little words inside of it. And really, that's the beauty of the units. If you can find some units in that word, it's going to help you decode the word. All right? So try that as you're doing your reading. All right, instant word time. We're going to review the first 25 and hit the next 25 after that. So we'll just kind of go down here. Every, near, add, food, between, own, below, country, not county because it has the R, country, plant, last, school, father, keep, tree, never, start, city, earth. Yeah, again, watch for that because it does have the art in it, but it doesn't sound like art. Remember, 9 out of 10 times. There's the 10th. Earth, eye, light, thought. T at the beginning, T at the end. Thought. Head, under, story, and saw. So we did those. That's the second time on those. Let's look at the new column here now. Okay. Left. Don't. Now notice the apostrophe here. This is a contraction. It's short for do not. And that's why the apostrophe is in there, because it means we're missing a letter. Okay, so don't. Few, while, along, might. There's our ite unit again. Close, or also close, can be pronounced either way. Something, which is a compound word. I think we've had some and thing before. Seem has the E unit. Next. Okay. Why don't you go ahead up to, so we get all down to the 50. Okay. All right. Next, hard. Open, there's our N. Example, usually abbreviated as EX period. Begin, life. Always, there's our A unit. Those, both. Paper, there's an unit. There's another unit in together. Got, group. Often or often, EN unit. Run, and finally, important, has an or and an an unit in it. And I'm sorry, M also, M or an. So you got a 3-unit word, important. This is an important word to know. Okay. All right, Kevin's going to put the book up here, and we'll do a little bit of unit searching. Just maybe the first page of Bart's Rest. Okay, that's chapter 1. So Bart's Rest, there's art. Gotcha. And est, art, s, or, est, e, ed, ick, n, and, or, and. Art, ing, n, e, n. Now this is actually, it has the e and the n units, but it's really one of our sight words too, been. In this country, we say, how have you been? In Britain, they say, how have you been? They probably say it better than we do. Ent, ain, ing, or, ip. Ing, ack, art, ick, n, an, est, or, and, art, a. Okay, n, that's the Y's at the end, henny penny. Art, est, or, e, ike. E, N, again, Ben. ant, ain, ing, and, s, and, ing, and, ick, and. You get the idea. Tons and tons of units in the story. The stories are made of words that Ed has found have plenty of units in them that fit the lesson. Okay? All right. I'm going to make another change today. I'm not going to write the song because you know how to do that. You can pick up a copy of the song from the library, or you can download the lyric from the internet, or practice writing something that you like to write. Maybe you like poetry. Copy some of your favorite poems or something. But just do practice some writing, because writing, as I said 15 times before, helps you to get your brain used to the letters and the sounds that the letters make. It's just great fine motor skill work. So we're going to go right from there to the Kindle again. This is part 2, and I'm going to show you one of the stories that I have downloaded, the novels I downloaded. Or actually, it's a collection of essays by this woman. This is Sarah Vowell.
Show the actual Kindle.
Yeah, the Kindle's right here. Okay. And I haven't turned it on yet. This is one of the pictures that they bring up that's when it's asleep. So I slide the power switch to wake it up. And I've already got it set for the story. The collection of essays is called The Partly Cloudy Patriot. And this is the essay of the same title that she wrote. I'm in halfway through the essay. I just picked this out. She's a commentator on National Public Radio. She's kind of an unusual person. She doesn't drive. She makes no point of hiding that. When she gets any place, someone else has to drive her. But she's got a really, really sharp mind and a very sharp wit about her. So this is kind of a serious essay, though, most of it, but I'm just going to read a part of it here. So looking over my list, I can't help but notice that only one of my formative experiences, the bicentennial, came with balloons and cake. Being a little kid that year, visiting the Freedom Train with its dramatically lit facsimile of the Declaration, she means the Declaration of Independence there, learning that I lived in the greatest, most fair and wise and lovely place on earth made a big impression on me. I think it's one of the reasons I'm so fond of President Lincoln, because he stared down the crap. More than anyone in the history of the country, he faced up to our most troubling contradiction, that a nation born in freedom would permit the enslavement of human beings, and never once stopped believing in the Declaration of Independence's ideals, never stopped trying to make them come true. So on the page forward here, I just hit one of these little side buttons, and it'll go to the next page. On a Sunday in November, I walked up to the New York Public Library to see the Emancipation Proclamation. On loan from the National Archives, the document was in town for 3 days. They put it in a glass case in a small, dark room. Being alone with old pieces of paper and one guard in an alcove at the library was nice and quiet. I stared at Abraham Lincoln's signature for a long time. I stood there thinking what one is supposed to think. This is the paper he held in his hands, and there is the ink that came from his pen. And when the ink dried, the slaves were freed. Except, look at the date, January 1st, 1863. The words wouldn't come true for a couple of years, which I'm guessing is a long time when another person owns your body. But I love how Lincoln dated the document, noting that it was signed in the year of our Lord 1863, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 87th. 87 years before is the wonderfully arrogant implication. Something as miraculous as the virgin birth happened on this earth, and the calendar should reflect that. The Emancipation Proclamation is a perfect American artifact to me, a good deed that made a lot of other Americans mad enough to kill. I think that's why the Civil War is my favorite American metaphor. I'm so much more comfortable when we're bickering with each other than when we have to link arms and fight a common enemy. But right after September 11th, the TV was full of unity. Congressmen, political enemies from both houses of Congress, from both sides of the aisle, stood together on the Capitol steps and sang, "God Bless America." At the memorial service at the National Cathedral, President and Mrs. Carter chatted like old friends with President and Mrs. Ford. Rudolph Giuliani, the mayor of New York, kissed his former opponent, Senator Hillary Clinton, on the cheek as the New York congressional delegation toured the World Trade Center disaster area. In September, people across the country and all over the world, including, bless them, the Canadians, and they are born sick of us, were singing the American national anthem. And when I heard their voices, I couldn't help but remember the last time I had sung that song. I was one of the hundreds of people standing in the mud on the Washington Mall on January 30th at the inauguration of George W. Bush. Everyone standing there in the cold rain had very strong feelings. It was either or. Either you beamed through the ceremony with smiles of joy, or you wept through it all with tears of rage. I admit I was one of the people there who needed a hanky when it was over. At the end of the ceremony, it was time to sing the national anthem. Some of the dissenters refused to join in. Such was their anger at the country at that moment. They couldn't find it in their hearts to sing. But I was standing there next to my friend Jack, and Jack and I put our hands over our hearts and sang that song loud. Because we love our country too. Because we wouldn't have been standing there, wouldn't have driven down to Washington just to burst into tears if we didn't care so very, very much about how this country is run. When the anthem ended, Land of the Free, Home of the Brave, Jack and I walked to the other end of the mall, to the Lincoln Memorial, to read Lincoln's second inaugural address. The speech Lincoln gave at the end of the Civil War about how we must bind up the nation's wounds. It seems so quaint to me now, after September, after CNN started doing hourly live remotes from St. Vincent's, my neighborhood hospital, that I would conceive of a wound as being peeved about who got to be president. My ideal picture of citizenship will always be an argument, not a sing-along. I did not get it out of a civics textbook either. I got it from my parents. My mom and dad disagree with me about almost everything. I do not share their religion or their political affiliation. I get on their nerves sometimes, but, and this is the most important thing they taught me, so what? We love each other. My parents and I have been through so much and known each other for so long, share so many in-jokes and memories. Our differences of opinion on everything from gun control to Robin Williams movies hardly matter at all. Plus, our disagreements make us appreciate the things we have in common all the more. When I call Republican Senator Orrin Hatch's office to say that I admire something he said about stem cell research, I am my parents' daughter, because they have always enjoyed playing up the things we do have in common, like Dolly Parton or ibuprofen. And that's probably enough, but I thought that was a really nice essay where she talks about it's okay to disagree. She and her parents have wildly different political views, but they still love each other. And I think, boy, that's something I wish we could get some of the politicians to get an idea of these days. Maybe things would be different in our whole country. And anyhow, that's Sarah Vowell in technology. And we're going to finish with a different song today. Since I'm not able to make copies of the stories anymore to put in the library, I'm going to have 2 songs each week rather than 1. So those will be things you can practice reading. This is an old one from my dad's day. It's called Grandpa's Getting Younger Every Day. It was sung by a lady named Dorothy Shade. They called her the Park Avenue Hillbilly. And if you look at it, it's kind of about mountain folk. A lot of apostrophes here where we shorten words and drop letters out. Getting, which should be getting here. Everybody's, they dropped the Y out of there. Getting again. All through it we have lots of shortenings. So,
Reading.
yeah, reading, yeah. So, and before I go, I want to make sure I thank everybody. I think I forgot to thank Jerry and Kevin last time. I thanked Dr. Ferris and the Board of Ed, of course, and Richie Carr and Dee Roth here at school, but forgot to thank my cameraman, our sound guy, Kevin, who's our reader guy now too. So thanks to everyone who's helping us put on the shows. We'll see you next time for lesson 17. And here we go with Grandpa's Getting Younger Every Day. Grandpa's getting younger every day. Shaved his whiskers off and bought a new toupee. Everybody's heard the news that he's even wearing shoes since he met the Widow Brown the other day. Grandpa's getting younger every day. Why, he even went and threw his cane away. And he wants the world to know he's a mountain gigolo, and he doesn't give a darn what people say. In a cabin in the mountains in Virginia, far away, lives my grandpa, dear old grandpa. Though he's old, he's not too old to play. Grandpa's getting younger every day. For the shape he's in, he really does okay. He's got water on the knee, and he's almost 93. But my grandpa's getting younger every day. Yeah, almost lost me there. Grandpa even cut a brand new tooth. And he says you'll have to blame it on my youth. He meanders through the hills, picking yeller daffodils. It's amazing, but so help me, it's the truth. Acting like a kid of 17. See him reading True Confessions magazine, and it builds up his morale just to see a pin-up gal. It's the dangdest doggone sight you ever seen. Grandpa used to like a game of chess, but he's grown a mite too young for that, I guess. 'Cause he'd rather cut a rug like a frisky jitterbug. Oh, my grandpa's getting younger every day. And that'll do it for this week's lesson. Have fun reading and writing and exercising. See you next time.